Cowboys fans everywhere are celebrating the fact that our team, they're finally doing something. It's been a long offseason of just waiting and sitting on your hands and waiting even more. And the Cowboys finally start making trades. They start making acquisitions that actually are helpful and fill needed holes on this roster. And then they finally make one of their major signings. And one of the first things we have to see after all of this good stuff finally starts happening is one of our beat reporters released an article that's going to send fans into a panicked rage. Clarence Hill of Dallas Sports has released an article in which I guess he asked Jerry Jones a couple of questions after the Cowboys open practice yesterday in Frisco. And this article has some polarizing quotes, to say the least, that I'm sure is going to get run on all the national TV programs, and Cowboys fans are going to be seeing a whole lot of, oh, the Cowboys aren't signing Dak. They're going to go ahead and let him play out his contract. Let's get right into this article. Jerry Jones says, deal with Dak Prescott not expected before season, but thinks there's a future with Dallas Cowboys beyond 2024. Again, this was written by Clarence Hill, and just the way that this was orchestrated and presented, it was presented in a very savvy fashion. It was presented in a fashion that was going to get a brand new website with a brand new media company. It's going to get them a lot of engagement and clicks because people are going to be wondering what the heck is going on here. But I'm going to give you guys a meta-analysis of what all this stuff actually means, right? With wide receiver CeeDee Lamb in the fold and back with the Dallas Cowboys on a 4-year, $136 million extension, the contract talks and attention are now on quarterback Dak Prescott and his future with the organization. Prescott is in the last year of a 4-year, $160 million deal he signed in 2021. He has a no-tag clause and a no-trade clause. The baseline for any deal is $55 million annually, and he could command $60 million or more on the free agent market after the season. This is the first point I want to address. The Joneses are playing a very, very dangerous game. At a time where they're going to have to sign a Micah Parsons, a Deron Bland, and potentially other players off of this team, Tyler Smith, other players off of this team, you do not want to end up having to pay what essentially will end up being $20+ million overall over the course of a life of a contract more just because you waited 6 months down the road. The Joneses can literally save $20 million plus, at least $5 million per season they can save by getting this contract done right now, which is why, regardless of what we're about to read in this article, this is why I believe Jerry, as the savvy businessman that he is, understands that yes, he in fact does need to get this contract done before anybody else can become a part of that bidding war. That will happen for Dak Prescott, and trust me, the Cowboys don't want to be bidding against teams like the Raiders and the Giants and other teams that have tons of resources and can throw literally a whole Brinks truck at Dak Prescott. You don't want to be bidding against desperate teams like that, so get this done right now, is what that says. And again, I can't stress enough, whether or not Dak Prescott is the quarterback of the Cowboys or not, he's still going to be my favorite player. And I'm still going to cover Dak Prescott, and I'm still going to cover Dallas Cowboys content on this particular channel, on this show. So for those of y'all that feel like I'm fighting or I'm like panicked or anything like that about the fact that I don't care. Nothing's gonna change for me. Literally nothing. Maybe the color scheme of my logo, that's about it, but nothing else is gonna change for me. But anywho, as a result, Prescott has all the leverage and will soon be the highest paid player in NFL history. Earlier, either with the Cowboys or with another team. It stands to reason that the Cowboys wouldn't invest as much as they did into Lamb and not secure the quarterback to maximize his investment. Certainly, Lamb thinks it will get done, as we kind of heard from that excerpt at the start of the video, but we'll go ahead and read over this. Go look at our numbers together, Lamb said. They're at the top of the charts. I have no doubt they're going to get a deal done. We all know that I want him here. Jerry wants Dak here too. So let's get this under control and kill the speculation. All right, so what CD is saying here, he's trying to cut through a little bit of the BS because he also mentioned the fact that he was getting a little bit impatient with how the contract negotiation situation even played out in the first place. CD is essentially kind of lifting the veil here a little bit on Jerry's little circus show he got going, and he's letting us know that they had those conversations. CD understands that he was signing that contract. I'm sure Jerry understands that CD's signing that contract with the understanding that Dak Prescott is going to be the guy throwing the ball to him. I think it would be foolish to think that that conversation wasn't had at all on behalf of CD Lamb as far as, hey, okay, you want to sign me again, but who's going to be my quarterback? Since my quarterback is also needing a new contract, who am I going to be signing up to receive the ball from? I cannot imagine a scenario in which that question wasn't asked about a number one receiver, especially in lieu of what we've seen happen to Devontae Adams' career after getting traded to a team that didn't have a sure answer at quarterback. I just don't see other guys following that same lead because it seems like somewhat of a death sentence for a wide receiver, right? So Lamb saying that and kind of talking about the fact that Jerry wants Dak here, you can bet that that's something that Jerry told Lamb during negotiations. You can bet that that's something that CeeDee Lamb is banking on happening, which is part of the reason why he's so excited about signing this contract with the Cowboys and being able to have an opportunity to have that top flight production like he had with Dak Prescott a year ago. But the article continues to say, Jones is in lockstep with Lamb. At least that is what he thinks. I think I am, said Jones, who initially stuttered when asked if he was confident in Prescott being his quarterback in 2025 on a new deal. And see, stuff like this, those types of details are simply made and put there to give the reader a sense of anxiety, to give you a sense of angst. It's there for a reaction because Jerry's also 80-something years old. And I don't know if you've heard Jerry Jones in press conferences recently, but him stuttering is nothing of note. It's not like Jerry is up here just articulating himself with perfect execution. It's not happening, y'all. So the whole, with a slight stutter, that was so unnecessary. And again, it was there to draw a reaction, to make people feel like, oh, yeah, Jerry's doubting himself. No, Jerry's old. Listen to his interviews. He stutters before he says anything. But then Jerry goes on to say, but I understand completely. I understand our challenge. But confident is not a word for me here. I feel that I think we can do it. We have not figured it out yet. All right, so Jerry feels like they can do it. They just haven't figured it out yet. They're still negotiating. There's still something. There's still some of those details that Dak and his agent don't want to move on. All right, so we don't know what those are. So I'm not going to speculate on what it may be. All right, just don't look for a domino effect following the Lamb deal and don't expect something to get done before the start of the season. The figuring out is not done, and the Cowboys are focused on getting ready for the season with Prescott already committed to playing under his current deal in 2024 and what could be his last season with the franchise. We don't need to get this done before the season, Jones said. We just don't need to get it done before the season because it's in all of our interests, Dak and everybody, to have a great season. And as a matter of fact, that's probably not realistic to think before the season. But my thought sitting here is that we'll have Dak as a Cowboys quarterback in 2025 and beyond. But all I'm going to say is this, it's not done yet. All right, so that's really the only part of that whole little excerpt that you guys need to be worried about. All I'm going to say is this, it's not done yet. The whole, we don't need to get it done before this, all that stuff, that's all hogwash. And it rings very familiar to the comments he made about not feeling a sense of urgency to get CeeDee Lamb's deal done. And it rings very similar to Jerry saying Zeke who before he eventually signed Ezekiel Elliott. Again, don't allow these articles that don't provide enough context and kind of dresses things up in a certain way. Don't allow this stuff to drive you guys. Don't allow this stuff to emotionally get you guys up in arms or anything like that, because really the important part about that is, I'm going to say is this, it's not done yet. They're still negotiating. The moment we hear that they have turned negotiations off, that's when you start to get a little bit concerned. That's when you worry. But as long as they're saying, we're still working on it, then guess what? They're still working on it, y'all. And Jerry's not going to be like, I want to get this done before the season starts, because now guess what? Now we have a whole countdown going, and all of Cowboys Nation is on the edge of their seat, counting every day down, wondering where that Dak Prescott contract is, by saying, no, it doesn't have to get done. It doesn't need to get done before the start of the season. What you're doing is you're taking that time limit off. You're taking that deadline away from the scenario. You're taking that out the picture, and you're kind of opening that lane up to kind of just freely deal with that situation in a vacuum, bro. And that's what I think that we're seeing here. And that's more so the point I think Jerry was trying to get across was, it's not a situation where there's a deadline or a timing thing of when the deal can and can't get done. He's essentially saying we're working on it, and whenever it gets done, it gets done. But we think that he will be here. We think that it will get done eventually, and that's just what it is. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, Jerry don't want the season to start and we get halfway through the season and Dak Prescott is having an MVP type season, because guess what? Everything that Dak does in 2024, it absolutely will raise the cost of that contract, especially if he balls out. If he even plays like he did last season, he's going to raise the price of his contract. So Jerry and the Cowboys are playing a very, very dangerous game by allowing the actual NFL season to start before getting this deal done. Again, I'm not concerned because I think this is from a business standpoint, from a franchise building standpoint, it makes no sense to let your all-pro quarterback walk away while you have honestly no other options in place right now. Trey Lance is not the answer for the long-term future. Cooper Rush, great backup, not the answer for the long-term future. And Dak Prescott and this offense and this team is going to be too good to get a top-rated draft pick this season at the quarterback position. So guess what? You're going to be in a situation where you're in no man's land for a couple of seasons because you were too good the season before to even get someone. And then if Dak messes around and walks away next season, you don't have Trey because Trey is on the last year of his contract and they didn't pick up the option. You don't have Dak, but you also didn't get a good enough draft pick to actually be able to draft one of the better quarterbacks either to develop and be able to throw in there. So now you're in no man's land as an organization and you didn't get any compensation for your all-pro quarterback leaving in the prime of his career. From a business standpoint, none of that makes sense. Don't take the cheese. We stick them same old Cowboys.
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still them boys? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Oh, shut up, my boy. Hey! I'm still them boys.